Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. My name is SeetherCord, and welcome back to our next episode of the SeetherCord podcast. Whoa, it's the SeetherCord podcast. Do. I still need to get my person to finish the intro music in the recording studio. But so we're here in the SeetherCord podcast that roughly gets about only 50% of the views that a non-podcast video gets. So you guys hate this content. No, I'm kidding. But we have ourselves on our first fursuit maker that is here today in the studio to discuss actually kind of a critique on my video about parents buying their children fursuits. And they're going to be here to kind of give their thoughts and takes. And we'll also go on a few things about fursuit making. So please welcome our newest guest for the podcast, which is Obe, the fursuit maker.
Hi guys, it's Oble from Oble Studios. Nice to be here.
Did I say it wrong? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I thought it was Obe.
It's Oble because it makes you want to wobble and it rhymes with cobble.
My freaking Cramshy told me before we recorded this that it was Obe because like on Discord or everywhere, the L looks like a capitalized I. So I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. It's an L. It's Oble. People mess it up all the time. I'm used to it.
So anyway, tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Oble. I make fursuit and fursuit accessories. Yes. I like to specialize and try to make things that look as cute as possible, like give your eyes diabetes and be as sweet as can be.
I can feel my feet tingling now with the diabetes. Feel the tingling in my feet.
And one of the goals of our studio is to try and create as less waste in the world as possible, where we can actually have less than a gallon Ziploc bag filled with stuff that actually has to get thrown away. We recycle or we keep and reuse whatever that we can for fursuit making, be it scrap fabric or extra stuffing that didn't fit in that tail.
Would you make a bold statement in saying that you are the most eco-friendly fursuit maker in the world?
I'd probably put it out there, or one at the top.
That's awesome. That's really, really awesome. So other than being super eco-friendly, what is another thing that would you say makes your fursuit making unique? Because we're kind of getting to a point in the furry fandom where fursuit makers are starting to take a different spin. They're starting to add their own kind of like new kind of theme to their suit making. Like, for example, with, if I butcher the name, I'm sorry, Nefertiti, they make raptor implemented masks. And what is your unique spin?
If you one of the staple things that I've done in every suit that I've ever made, if you look in the eyes, I actually do holographic hearts as the eye shines, and that's been a staple since day one.
That's awesome. That's super cool, like for real. And another thing I need to mention, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but there's an implementation of magnets. Is this correct?
Yes, every head comes with, every head since, I believe, since of last year, we've done, every head gets 2 tongues. A short one that's standard length, and then we throw in a longer one.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. So getting prepped for this podcast, I was asking myself in the head to get ready to ask you this question involving the magnets. So if your fursuits are made out of magnets, if I took one of your fursuits and put them on, would I be able to stick myself to a refrigerator?
No, unless if you wanted, like, magnets everywhere underneath, which I don't mind. I'm willing to do it. It's just, unless if your whole bodysuit and head and everything was covered in magnets, then
I could be Spider-Man or something. I don't know. Who knows?
Suction cup man, but with magnets.
I'm going to be good old Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire climbing up a refrigerator magnet in fursuit. If I could ask you, what is the process to making your fursuit specifically? Like making it eco-friendly, implementing masks, making the hearts and the eyes. Like, what are some unique things that most fursuit makers might not do when it comes to the process of making fursuits that you do with yours?
One of the unique things that we actually do is during our commission process in the start, a lot of makers will just select the furs that they think are closest. I actually go through all 23 of my fur fabric suppliers, get the ones that I think would look closest, and then I hand them over like, okay, here's what I think would look close. Go ahead and select your colors out of this swatch what you would like.
Okay, that's cool. Now, if I could ask though about the magnets, you would say that. Correct me if I'm wrong if it doesn't involve the magnets specifically, but the 3D printing aspect of fursuit making with you. Please go into detail because I am extremely fascinated by that.
Yes, we do 3D print with fursuits. Be it that we can print the head base itself. We use TO bases with his permission. For finished fursuits on TO bases, we don't have rights to just sell the base itself. We have it for finished fursuits. Um, or that we can print a positive and create a silicone mold and do foam casting out of it.
Oh wow, so that's pretty epic. Where do you get the resources for the 3D printer? Do you have a 3D printer in your own home? Do you have to go out somewhere to 3D print? And also, like, is it really like a grueling process to 3D print? Because I hear it takes hours just to produce like plastic silverware with 3D printing.
Um, to start off your question, yes, it is expensive. We have one, two, four 3D printers in my home. We
Wow.
have two duplicator i3 pluses, a Anycubic Micro Delta, and then we have one of the biggest ones on the market, the Anycubic Predator.
Oh wow, that's a very intimidating name for a 3D printer, the Predator.
Yeah, it goes all. I am 4'10", so it goes from my knee to my eyebrow.
Oh wow.
It,
So that's crazy. When it comes to printing out a piece, like, is it a very long, grueling process just to print out the smallest 3D object?
First you have to sculpt or download the file that that you would be printing. Then you have to configure it and slice it in a program. I use Cura because it's the one that works easiest with my printers and easiest for me to understand. And then you have to prep your printer by either some people put down glue or hairspray to get it to stick to the plate better. You have to calibrate the printer and make sure that everything will be level. And then you have to heat up your filament and load the files into the printer either via a cord hooked up to your computer or through an Octopi if you have it set up to an Octopi, or you can put it on an SD card and shove one of those in there.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. I can imagine like with the long grueling process. Like I've never seen a 3D printer in person, which I would love to. I can imagine they're loud as heck, and like they probably make a lot of noise.
On my YouTube channel, I actually sometimes would live stream, like leave my phone to live stream it. That way, while I was out, I could actually keep an eye on the printer, or while I was sleeping, I could like leave live streams. They can be loud. A lot of the Cartesians are loud, but the Delta ones are a little bit quieter.
Oh wow, that's cool. You just made me think that if you ever get to the point where you can maybe implement some AI, some artificial intelligence to design some models for fursuit making, then legitimately, this is going to be really stupid, but legit, you will be the first fursuit maker that pretty much will enter Black Mirror at this point. So, Black Mirror is getting pretty dark with fursuit making. AI, evolution of fursuit making, that's what I say, people.
My sculpting skills for digital sculpting aren't that good. I usually um, I'll print one out and then I'll edit it with clay and then I'll cast it.
Wow, that's pretty epic. Um, so that's pretty much like most of. I assume that's like most of what you've told me with the whole process of fursuit making that you've done. Is there anything else kind of unique with how you make fursuit? Is there any other like challenges or like frustrating endeavors that go with making the suits and all? Or since we're kind of giving you like a little spotlight here for possibly getting commissioners and everything, like, is there anything else to mention? Like anything else unique with your suit making? You would say?
We like to try and whenever possible, use holographic vinyl if given the opportunity. Like, we like to use it for noses, or with the Furby fursuit that we made the entire faceplate out of holographic vinyl. That way it's nice and shiny and rainbow. I have a problem with liking shiny stuff in pink. But yeah, we like to try and just keep everything as cute as possible and make everything even super comfortable and fit most people. That way, whenever you do have to sell the suit, if you ever have to, like let's say you fall out of love with your character, you won't have as much of an issue trying to sell it for sizing.
Okay, definitely makes sense. Now, would you say, before we move on to the next part of this podcast, which involves your disagreement with my video, I wanted to ask you, would you say that you're like probably a more like technologically advanced when it comes to fursuit making? And could you say like maybe your way of doing it could be a potential future with like fursuit making, potentially with like the use of 3D printers and more of a technological side to making them?
Definitely, because a lot of makers still carve by hand with foam. I mean, I do that sometimes too, just to knock out a bunch of bases out of the way sometimes. But a lot of there are more of your popular makers are switching to printing to silicone cast and then do foam that way and do expanding foam and carve it out that way.
That's so cool. Um, that's actually really interesting to bring up, and I appreciate you taking the time for that. So, to anyone watching right now, if you want to commission Oble for some fursuits, are you currently open for commissions, or would you say wait a bit?
I am open for fall commissions at the moment.
Awesome, that's pretty cool. Did it recently get open, or you have all slots available, or most of them available?
I go by month, so whenever a new commission comes in, I place it in the correct month
Okay,
that
that's
should be
awesome.
finished. That way I can keep my queue organized.
All right, would you like to list out prices specifically for everyone watching if they're interested right now?
Right now I am actually doing a sale where my sock paws are getting free upgrades to indoor paws, and my feet start at 175. A mini partial starts at 720, but right now we're doing free upgrades to include sleeves for free.
Okay, so is that pretty much all?
Basically, and if you ever want to go ahead and commission, go to oblestudios.com. We have a full gallery to view and a quote form to fill out.
Yep, and everyone links in the description to everything that she just listed, and will be linked down below, so you can click down there easily. Next thing we need to bring up for the podcast now is pretty much the essential reasons to why we're doing this today, which is Abel had a little bit of a just a little bit of a disagreement with my video on me. I won't deny. I screwed up. You know, I'm not perfect. I make some mistakes in my videos. Heck, there's some videos I've made a year or two ago that, frankly, I don't agree with at all today anymore. So they're very outdated. But Abel, in terms of my video, I made 3 days ago. It wasn't my most recent video, but my video before my last video, 2 videos ago, was parents buying fursuits for their children. And I made a statement, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I made a statement saying in the video that I think that parents should look and intend to find fursuit makers that would be willing to make a certain portion of the fursuit and then do a payment. But you had a big disagreement with me on there, and you messaged me, you DM'd me privately on Telegram, giving your full explanation of that. And I would like for you to give your take on it, because I'm not a fursuit maker. The most experience I have is that I'm dating someone who's just now getting into the industry, and you've been doing it for a couple years now. So you can basically take the floor and tell me about my dumbassery in that situation.
Thank you. With your statement, I found that I've actually had this happen to me before when I first started, and it's led me to actually still have the piece because they never bought it. But asking a maker to start before payment can lead to the maker getting scammed. It could make them be led on, and it makes it a whole hassle for the maker itself and scammed of materials and time. Uh,
Okay.
Makers don't have a lot of colors in stock. Normally, when we get a commission, we have to order every single color of fur, and for a custom suit. Like, a lot of makers, they'll keep black and white on hand, but let's say you wanted neon orange fox. Well, I'm gonna have
Hmm.
to, for a full digital grade suit, I'm gonna need to order 5 yards of, uh, I'm gonna have to order 5 yards of neon orange fur, and that's
Hmm.
gonna cost me, fur is about
Quite a bit of money.
$30 a yard. So that's
Yeah.
going to cost me a pretty penny just to even do that. And if you say, just look at one piece, like let's say I did the tail, oh no, never mind. I'm out that $200, 200, $300.
Oh, for sure. I guess my mistake mostly was I kind of didn't fully understand and grasp like the expenses when it comes to the materials. Um, Typically, correct me if I'm wrong, at least with the state of how things are right now, certain fabrics and furs and everything and foams are still kind of expensive. I would assume foams are cheaper, but fabrics and certain color furs that are not natural colors are more still on the pricey side. I kind of just assumed that they were cheaper, and that's my fault, or they weren't that expensive. But I will say something that when me and Cramchi went out a few days ago to get some to the fabric store to get certain furs, we did notice that there was kind of a higher spike in prices for certain fur pieces and colors and fabrics in Latin America than in the States and more parts of Northern America. So I can definitely, so I maybe made me think that back home, and at least for fursuit makers up in Canada and the U.S. and maybe Mexico, they would be cheaper, but I guess they're still expensive. I guess they might be cheaper than in Latin America, but they're still not cheap in general. But that was my mistake, I would say. Uh, I guess also my kind of flawed mindset for it was kind of like I had maybe even an idea of like segmented payments. Like, are you up for like, do you accept maybe like for certain people who can't make the full payment to like pay in increments and you finish certain portions of the suit based off of the increment of payment done?
Yeah, we do accept, me and a lot of other fursuit makers accept payment plans. Usually with payment plans, you put down a down payment so they'd be able to order the materials because materials are expensive. And then some makers do by, okay, I have the head done. Can you please make this much payment to keep up? Or a lot of makers, they'll request that you have it paid off by a certain time. Or I personally, for me, I'm pretty lenient as long as I get paid. I offer monthly, weekly, or bi-weekly. It's your choice, whatever's comfortable for you, because I understand you need to be able to feed your mouth to live. It's just
Hmm.
I make it easier to go month by month or weekly or bi-weekly, whatever the commissioner chooses.
Do it on layaway.
Basically, yes, until it's finished, and and then once the suit is both finished and paid off, then I ship it out.
Okay, it makes full sense. If I could ask you though, like when I was bringing up materials, like would you say certain common materials for fursuits are getting cheaper and some are still like on the expensive side? Like if that's the case, like can you differentiate for the viewers, like what portions of fursuit making is cheap and which is expensive?
The cheapest part of fursuit making, for the construction of it, is going to be your hot glue and your foam. The fur is going to be the more expensive part because you have to order for so many colors. And fur
Okay.
prices are actually going up right now. Um, One of the bigger suppliers, Shannon Fabrics, just had a price spike. So, along with Mendel's.
Okay, and we can kind of maybe understand possibly the price spike for the you know what word that can't be said on YouTube. Um, but possibly it could be something else. I don't know, but that's just my best guess. But other than that, what so like you would say like hot glue guns and glue sticks are still on the cheaper side. How about like foams? I would say is foam kind of on the cheaper side. I would assume it is.
Foam is it depends on what thickness, because there are various
Okay.
thicknesses. But I believe you can still go to Walmart here and get a 2 yards roll of 1 inch foam for like $20.
Okay. Um, if I could ask you though, with your 3 years of, would you say it's around 3 years of fursuit making under your belt?
Let me go back to my own
I would
gallery
ask.
because I have not. actually counted.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, okay. I was asking, since you have at least like 3 years of fursuit making experience under your belt, I would ask you, would you say when it comes to like the issue of payments and everything, which I kind of made you disagree with me on my statement, um, would you say would you agree that there have been cases where there have been very heated tension between you and the commissioner over like payment and then possibly like lawsuits or something like that, or like huge amounts of money being lost that could potentially damage the business or your livelihood? I can imagine they could be very stressful at times dealing with the money.
Oh, various, yes. Because I've had some people do a chargeback, just because they didn't like one thing, so they charged back the entire thing.
Oh, wow.
Or but with payments, I'm usually pretty lenient. I can, put a commission, you put your commission on pause as long as you, give me a heads up saying, oh, hey, I'm not able to pay this month, or hey, I'm not able, I just lost my job. Can we put my commission on pause until I get my job back? Sure, no problem. Thank you for communicating with me. I'll go ahead and work on other stuff while you go ahead and get your stuff fixed.
Okay. Would you say you've ever seen either with you or with another fursuit maker, we don't have to name names or anything, where you've seen it get so bad with that kind of like issues with payment to where it had to almost get to a court case or like a lawsuit?
Um, I personally haven't seen it with any of my. Usually, PayPal just handles the situation because a lot of
Hmm.
people, it's just they try to charge back, and usually PayPal stands up for the seller as long as they, shipped out their thing or provides proof.
Yeah. All right. So that's good. They don't typically have to take it to court or anything, which if it ever has for certain people, then I can imagine it maybe getting as it wouldn't be like a felon. I think I could take it to maybe like a small claims court or something like that. Um, Besides this, was there anything else in my video that you would say you would disagree with me on, other than the that you would like to mention to the viewers, besides the whole like building before paying?
Let me go ahead and go back to my notes on that, actually.
Oh, thank you for writing notes down. First time I had a guest on that did that. It's usually me who has to write down the notes. I have a list right here as well, but do tell.
Other tips that you could have put in that are very important is make sure
Yes.
that that commissioners look at the maker's terms of service as they are custom made suits. Um, a huge portion of the money goes to not only the materials but for their time. You're paying them for a service.
Hmm.
Um, just for a fun fact, for my terms of service, I've actually had issues with people thinking just because they're paying for my time to make them a suit, thought that they paid for my time for everything else and demanded naked pictures of myself because I'm working for them. So I actually had to put in my TOS asking for any inappropriate pictures, get you a cancellation with no refunds for wasting my time.
Um, okay then. That was unexpected.
Yeah,
uh,
there's if you read it gets crazy sometimes.
Dang, that's sorry I had to deal with that. Um, Besides that, when it comes to like parents and everything, like could I ask, like, with the whole situation of parents buying their kids fursuits, which I discussed in my previous video, have you had to deal with parents commissioning for their children? Have you had to deal with like a parent commissioning for their teen or tween or teenager?
Oh yeah, that's actually about maybe 1/3 of what my commissions are. Because I'm one of there's not all makers accept commissions from minors. I accept as long as they have parents'
Mm-hmm.
permission. Um, and proof of parents' permission. Uh, Issues with the parents, sometimes it can be like, it's been 2 months, where is this? I'm like, these don't things don't take overnight, sweetie. I've even a
Oh
personal
yeah.
friend has had they got payment for a full suit in full, and the next morning the dad said, if I don't have a shipping number by the end of the day, I'm doing a chargeback.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Would you say that dealing with like parents commissioning for their children is way more difficult than people just commissioning for themselves as adults, or is it the other way around?
Usually parents being the commissionee, can be very much more troublesome because they're not normally furries. They don't understand these things take time or why these things take so much money to make and why they're
Okay.
expensive.
Yeah. Would you say that would you say that most of the parents that commission you for their children are themselves aren't furries? Is there at least a small portion of them that are furries themselves, that have kids that are also furries and they're like a little furry family?
Most of the fursuit parents commissioning are normies, quote unquote
Oh
normies.
wow. Hmm.
They're not
I see.
furries. They might watch anime, and because cosplay could take up to $200, they think a head should, you know, be $200 and not, 600 or anything that's what standard pricing would be.
Okay. So yeah, I can definitely see like maybe from a normie perspective it's more difficult, but hopefully like some non-furry parents were at least helpful and accepting and understanding.
The furry parent actually having furry kids is a rare percentage. Like it's very
Uh-huh.
low. It's rare to actually have a furry in this day and
It's really
age.
cool though. It is cool
Oh,
when
it
you see it
is.
though. I don't even see myself like I don't know if I ever have a kid. I doubt they would want to be a furry. I'm not sure if they. I'm not gonna be the, if I have a kid, which I kind of plan on. I don't. I'm not gonna be the type of parent to like enforce it. I'll maybe like let them know about it and make them make their decision on it, but I wouldn't like enforce that stuff. Like only if they want to. I don't know. I more so see my if I have a kid, I more so see them like being a gamer and watching anime than being a furry.
I mean, we're one of the. I am myself am one of the few furry parents that have a furry child. We adopted a child.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, there were another fur that was having at home issues, like bad at home issues, so we kind of stepped in.
Okay, that's nice. That's very sweet of you to do. Very noble. Um, Other than that, is there any other further advice that you would like to add on from my video for commissioning the parents or so, or have you pretty much covered everything with that?
If you're buying a fursuit for your child and they don't really have a character, or you're looking for something on the cheaper side, you can always get a pre-made fursuit or a pre-owned one. Um,
For Furby, or there's been issues with Furby in the past, so maybe not Furby, but other websites
the
that kind
dealer's
of similar to
den,
that.
Etsy, or even just scrolling through Instagram, through hashtags fursuit for sale.
Okay. Would you say that if I could go off topic for a second, when it comes to like the fursuit commission based websites that like they have like a website that has a whole database typically specifically for that, would you say they're dying out and people are more so just going to like basic social media sites like Twitter and Instagram? Would you say that they function a little bit better with that business rather than making websites specifically for that, or would you say it's the other way around?
For pre-made items, if you're looking for pre-made items, or pre-owned ones, going to sites like the dealer's den would be your better bet. But if you're wanting something custom made, following, people, suit makers that you like, or suit makers styles that you like, following them on social media and waiting for them to open.
Okay, makes
It
sense.
makes more,
Makes complete.
yeah.
All right. So I pretty much got to cover like virtually everything on here I wanted to cover with you today. Is there anything else you wrote down in your notes that you wanted to mention onto the podcast for discussion, or do you have pretty much everything you need?
That's basically everything that I wrote down.
Okay, cool, cool. There's nothing else left you would like to discuss for the podcast in the subject, or are you good to go?
Um, Always, wash your paws, brush your suit,
Wash your paws
and don't be a musky husky.
and don't drink Clorox bleach.
Please don't.
Yeah, and don't buy face masks on Amazon and eBay for $500. So
Correct.
yes, don't get scammed. Also, all right. So, if you want to take the time to really like boast, not boast, but shout out all of your websites and social medias, you can do so right now.
Our main website is oblestudios.com. Our Instagram is oble_studios. Our Twitter and my personal Telegram is at Obletop, OBLETOP. And our TikTok, which is where we're most known for, is at Oble Studios.
All right, awesome. All that will be linked down in the description down below. It will be, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to leave it in one of the end cards of this video to your website if YouTube allows it. I know that YouTube in the end cards doesn't allow specific websites, so if it's not in the end cards, they'll definitely be down in the description, the dibbly-doo. So again, thank you guys. Thank you so much, Oble, for coming on here and destroying me. I'm just kidding. Giving your intake again. I like to make this channel transparent, and I want to develop it and have a good word and kind of have a good discussion. And I'm willing to accept when I'm wrong on things. I appreciate you, correcting me on something I screwed up on. I appreciate it again, and hopefully maybe I'll make a new video with this, or I could just use this podcast as a way to kind of have a response to my last video to potentially make the fandom better and better each day, and get ready for the furry revolution takeover of the world.
Thank you so much for having me and actually listening to concerns and critiques.
Yeah, of course. All right. So thank you guys again so much for watching this episode of the podcast of the Seether podcast, or the SeetherCast, SeetherCord podcast. If you guys enjoy the content and want to further help out the channel, please consider donating to us on Patreon for a monthly donation, or if you're not comfortable with that, for a one-time donation, go to our Ko-fi and donate. Also, please consider smashing the like button, turn on that notification bell, and subscribing all together. Make sure you check out the main gaming channel known as SeetherCord Games, where Crampy and I are currently playing through Kirby's Epic Yarn. And also, if you want to see some solo gameplay commentary footage, check out me playing through Super Mario 64 Randomizer. Also, if you want some silent, quiet gaming videos, make sure to check out the Seether Chills channel. All that will be linked down in the description down below, along with Oble's other social media as well. And again, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the SeetherCord podcast. I've been SeetherCord, they've been Oble, and we will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye!
Come on, let's go. Let's get out of here. No! No! I walked into the fucking piano. Oh my god.